Hi there, welcome back to another week of Counter-Strike game and skin market update. This is SkinomiCS2 and this video covers the 14th to 20th of July 2025. This is probably the longest weekly update as I cover the new trade changes and implications in detail. However, let's make a start by covering the Armory Pass. The returns are down this week as Season 3 update did not bring any new changes apart from the removal of the unpopular XM Solitude. Despite the drawdown, the top 5 items as well as the cases remain profitable to redeem. Moving on to the Austin Major stickers. Returns are broadly low as the 75% off sale still hasn't hit yet. In saying that, Tyloo team and player stickers have increased drastically following their recent tournament performance. Next, let's talk about the souvenir packages from the Major. CSRI was kind enough to provide me with pre-release data to the profitability of each package including the charm. A surprising number of these are profitable, with the Paint Inferior Game on Inferno taking the cake with a 204% return on unboxing. I expect these return figures to come down quite quickly given that it is still early days. Just to clarify, these return figures include both the price of the skin and the charm unboxed. Season 3 of Premier came out this week as expected, and players should have received their medals for Season 2 had they participated. One little quirk is that the Season 3 medal for the gold rank will now look a lot brighter as some players complain about Season 2's. Unfortunately, most players who made this rank were cheating. Season 3 also brought out a map change from Anubis to Overpass. Anubis was the second least played map in Premier in front of Train, which is new, hence it makes sense for the map to be swapped out. The map, coincidentally, also happened to be the least balanced map with T-side taking 55% of rounds in Premier. However, the map change did not mean its collection was also removed. The Anubis package still sits in the in-game store as it had been from its release in April 2023. Now, let's cover the biggest change related to trading this week, and that is trade protection. With the update that introduced Season 3, Valve announced you may reverse all trades completed in the last 7 days. This is during the same 7 days whereby a newly traded item cannot be traded again. It is very simple to reverse trades. All you have to do is click on trade offers within your inventory page on Steam and the option presents itself. The downside to the reversal is that all trades completed within the last 7 days will be reversed, not just what you wish to be reversed. Additionally, any reversal will lock your account down for 30 days, meaning no new trades can be made for a month. This created a dilemma that was exploited during the first few hours after the update. Theoretically, if you sold an item and reversed the trade, you kept both the item and the money. This is precisely what some had done before trading sites managed to react to the change. Photos of people who had done so went viral on Chinese social media. However, as all Chinese trading platforms require real name verifications, some were sent to jail swiftly. Let's now take a look at a viral clip that was going around. This exploit period of a few hours also showed which platform takes care of their customers. Whilst bigger platforms like Buff or Yulping stated they will cover any losses incurred, a smaller platform called Eco in China basically said there's nothing they can do. Subsequent to the initial shock, platforms including Buff locked trading for a few additional hours whilst they sorted out what had happened. This created an interesting phenomenon, whereby people posted joke listings including pairs of superconductors for less than $20 US. Note that none were actually sold at this price. Let's now take a look at the longer term response from trading websites, starting with the common peer-to-peer sites. Buff, CS Float, and Yulping have all decided to impose a 7-day fund hold period, which means that money will be withheld by the platform after you sell a skin for 7 days. A similar response has been made by most cash traders, although the risk is higher with these, as there is direct incentive for the trader to run away with the skin. I suspect cash traders will become less popular over time with this update in place. Overall, what this update means is that Counter-Strike skins moved from a 7-day liquidity asset to a 14-day liquidity asset, meaning overall market liquidity and confidence will decrease. This is also a highly unique set of trading circumstances, as you lock in your price 7 days before you receive your money from a sale, which creates a significant amount of uncertainty if you want to swap from one item to another through a peer-to-peer marketplace. This brings us to instant trading sites. Theoretically, for players swapping out between skins, they can offer slightly less uncertainty for a cost. However, there are additional exploits right now with these sites, as channel data provider iTrade.gg have discovered. As a result, most instant trading sites are still down at the time of this video. ETA for these sites coming back online is expected within the next week. Another quirk with this update is that items such as cases or stickers cannot be consumed during the 7 days of trade protection. This only applies to items traded, including from all third-party marketplaces, which is to say, the Steam community market is not affected. I foresee an uptick in the usage of the Steam community market for these type of items, and therefore more revenue for Valve. However, I do not think that was Valve's intention with this update. Moreover, Team Fortress items are not affected by the update, which means they can no longer be traded for CS2 items. Their prices have increased, as this actually makes them more valuable for liquid storage of value compared to Counter-Strike items. Lastly, as for the implications on skin renting, Yelping has come up with a set of rules that is likely to be copied by other platforms. During the loan phase, if the trade is reversed by either party, it basically becomes an early termination of the loan. However, if the owner did it, he or she will not receive the rent, whereby if the loaner did it, he or she will be liable for the entire amount of rent for the original loan phase. During the return phase, if the owner reverses, he or she must accept the trade using a different account after 7 days if he or she still wants the skin back. Whereby if the loaner reverses the return transaction, he or she will be given 30 days to return the item, during which rent is payable, and at the end of which if the item is still not returned, then a buyout is payable. As for the impacts on the market, absolutely horrid. Everything has dropped in price, and the overall market capitalization of Counter-Strike skins shrunk by more than $300 million at the writing of this video. We covered this in detail in the market analysis section. One more piece of news. MoneyZ was banned and quickly unbanned after he posted on Twitter. It is unclear at this stage what was the cause behind the ban. At the time of the ban, his inventory contained $550,000 worth of skins. Finally, let's move on to our weekly craft idea. The crown foil is over $500 these days, which means a cheap alternative is a good idea. The one on screen right now combines the Imma sticker from Austin and the Astarte skull sticker from the recent Warhammer collection to create a $4 crown craft. Switching gears to market analysis, the SkinomiCS2 Index, which contains a list of items I use to represent the market, crashed by 7.97% this week. This is as a direct result of the update. Decreased liquidity makes Counter-Strike skins less attractive as a financial asset. We can see the same pattern is copied over at the ESports Fire Index, which contains a list of 300 high-value liquid items. Prices have declined significantly here as well. Moving on to the buff value of trade and trade volume data sourced from the cheap instant skin trading site iTrade.gg. Volume and value of trade declined sharply immediately after the update. It has since made a recovery with more data made available. Whereas the total value and volume data sourced from SteamDT, the trend line is somehow still increasing. Despite that, we see somewhat a significant drop to the value of trade coming from a higher volume. Now, let's break the skin market movements this week down into categories. There is not a single green within my index. Starting off with knives and gloves, the gloves have taken a harder hit compared to knives. Decreases have averaged at about 10%. Higher tiered weapon skins follow suit with an overall decrease across all items. Skins like the Prince Stream and Blaze have experienced higher declines as they have risen more in the past month. Agents decline again for the third week in a row, by approximately 10% across the board. Last but not least, in the affordable weapon segment, we have seen significant declines again for the third week in a row as well, which is not healthy for the market. Moving on, according to CS2 Case Tracker, case unboxing numbers have increased through all the market turbulence and the continued player decline. 8.5 million cases netted Valve a healthy profit in the week. And this has meant case prices did not drop. Certain non-active cases such as Chroma actually increased in this week. The same gains are across active cases as well. In fact, the Revolution case increased by another 30% in the week, which is quite puzzling to me, given the negative impacts of the update for case openings. Let's now take a glimpse at this week's biggest winners and losers. This week's biggest winner come from Tyloo stickers from their performance at the Fissure Playground. The rat rod from the Shattered Web collection also did well amidst the chaos. The biggest losers come from a normal selection of items given market conditions. The Arno Agent, Coalition, and Desert Strike make up the top 3. Onto the top trades of the week, also sourced from the skin trading site itrade.gg. Higher end items are not impacted by the update, as they have no liquidity to begin with. On buff, a 661 topped the list for $47,000. The rest of the list consists of a factory new Wild Lotus and a mixed Cato 14 Redline for $30,000 and $27,000 respectively. On CS Float, a tier 1 Crimson Kimono sold for $36,000. Butterfly Emeralds make up the remainder of the list for CS Float. Moving to game news, the update on the 16th brought an additional couple of gameplay changes. Namely, the MP9 has been nerfed from a recoil and jumping accuracy department. Sloth Squadron stats show that it is now much less accurate, and my own in-game experience has reflected this. However, it is not all bad news for the CTs, as now they get an additional $50 per member of the team for each elimination. Additionally, the CT molly now spreads as quickly as the T-side molly, despite still lasting a shorter duration. Now onto the pro scene. As I have been alluding to in the market analysis, the $1 million Fissure Playground tournament has been won by the Chinese Tyloo. This puts Tyloo all the way up to 7th on the VRS. This also marks the first time when a Chinese team won a tier 1 tournament. The upcoming Blast Rivals have its participants determined as shown on screen. The same goes for the teams attending the Blast Open London in September, with the exception of 4 qualifier spots. A noticeable exception from the 2 tournaments is Falcons. However, it is not due to any conspiracies, but rather just Kioski's visa issues given he's under 18. Which is why for the ESL Pro League Season 22 in late September, Falcons is participating. In other news, transfers have slowed down as the season starts. G2 has confirmed the signing of the coach Saul, players Sampayas and Matthias, as well as the assistant Shidan. I am still open to skin donations, and a reminder to join my Discord. Please like, share and subscribe. On that bombshell, that was all for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.